Almost 47 years ago, Kenya's founding father Mzee Jomo Kenyatta died.
Naapa kwamba nitakuwa mwaminifu kwa Jamhuri ya Kenya na kuitumikia kwa moyo wangu wote, na kwamba nitahifadhi, nitalinda na kuitetea.
The circumstances surrounding his death will be shrouded in mystery until someone spilled the beans.
It was treason to compass, to plot, to plan, and even to imagine the death of a president.
Did you know, for instance, that there was a time when Mzee, as he was simply called, lapsed into a coma for 3 days? Lee Njiru, President Daniel Arap Moi's press secretary for more than 3 decades, tells me that President Jomo Kenyatta would have lived longer were it not for negligence and corruption by his aides. You worked for 2 presidents, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta.
Yes.
And Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi.
Yes.
But for the longest period you worked for Daniel Arap Moi.
Yes. 24 years, 4 months, 8 days.
According to Njiru, the founding father of the nation didn't get the best of medical attention in spite of his advanced age and failing health. Njiru says by the time of his death, Mzee had reached a stage where he could not remember simple things and was unable to sign documents.
On August 21st, Monday, 1978, Jomo Kenyatta collapsed in Mosambweni primary school in Kwale. Now, from there, he was not rushed to hospital. He was taken to sleep because people thought that if you took him to hospital, it would mean that you are imagining that he might die. And that is why he died the following day, on Tuesday, 22nd August.
Kenyans were told that the president had died peacefully in his sleep. But here is an insider talking of near criminal negligence.
Because people feared that if you rush him to hospital, you are imagining that he could die.
So he did not get the medical attention that was needed at that time?
Yes. He was not taken to hospital. And you know, Pandia Memorial Hospital is just across from State House, Mombasa.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and you know, some people, you know, his handlers left him sleeping. He died alone.
According to Njiru, Kenyatta had no surgeon by his side the day he died. And working in Kenyatta struggles, my story, former Kenyatta era Secretary to the Cabinet and later Central Bank of Kenya Governor Duncan Ndegwa notes that although Kenyatta was an ordinary mortal, many Kenyans did not want to entertain the thought of a Kenya without him. He wrote that some of them lived with the nightmare of waking up and finding Kenyatta gone. Although the state was made up of institutions, Ndegwa noted Mzee was the source of power and inspiration. Ndegwa writes that Kenyatta never wanted his health discussed in the public, and he would learn that the hard way. He recalls a delegation from Kitui visiting the president's Gatundu home and waiting for the whole day with no sight of the stately figure. When Ndegwa decided it was only courteous to inform the delegation that Mzee was unwell but sought the old man permission to do so, he was thoroughly lectured. "Are you mad? Has something gone wrong with your head?" He quotes Kenyatta as admonishing him. Kenyatta would not hear of wearing glasses even as his sight deteriorated, preferring his speeches to be typed in bigger fonts. He grudgingly wore glasses when the large font trick couldn't work.
Now, during that time, there was a clause in the Constitution which stated that it was treason to compass, to plot, to plan, and even to imagine the death of a president. And because Jonjo was a friend of Moi, he issued a statement saying that anybody who talks or insinuates about the possible death of the president would be killed, because that was treason. Just imagining.
Just imagine.
Yes, if the government knew you are imagining, that was treason.
How will the government know that I'm imagining?
Well, they won't know, but of course, that's to tell you how serious it was. But you see, that clause in the Constitution also played a part later in the death of Jomo Kenyatta.
According to Ndegwa, Kenyatta's heart was failing, but he was not the one to entertain things like pesetas. The failing heart, Ndegwa writes, was perhaps the cause of the blackouts that Kenyatta suffered from time to time, on occasion for long periods. One such occasion, it is said, Kenyatta suffered a blackout at his Mombasa Tiririka residence and remained in coma for 3 days. These were 3 days of uncertainty. Kenyatta also suffered bouts of gout. Njiru remains unhappy that Kenyatta's handlers allowed him to travel to Msambweni when he was obviously weak. He says perhaps Mzee should not have been allowed to travel to Msambweni on August 21st, 1978 to be subjected to the indignity of collapsing in a washroom. As a young information officer, Njiru had been from 1977 assigned to cover all the official functions of Mzee. On this critical day, the president had lunch with all the Kenyan envoys abroad. This was at State House, Mombasa. Njiru says he could see the concern of the envoys as Mzee's speech was a worrying, incoherent stutter. The then Minister of State in the office of the president, Peter Mbiu Koinange, was at the high table. Njiru gave a fugitive glance at him to see his reaction and noticed he was not bothered. This left Njiru a surprised man, since Koinange was not only Mzee Kenyatta's minister and confidant, but also his brother-in-law. But it was after lunch that things became terrifying. Mzee missed his way out and ended up at the dingy caretaker's office, where he caused a commotion among the junior staff as the room was littered with dirty utensils and food leftovers. When he was redirected to his sleeping room, Mzee could not make it upstairs. In between the flight of stairs, he ran out of breath and asked for a chair. After a brief rest, he went to his private quarters. Despite witnessing all this agony, Mbiu Koinange, or Coast Provincial Commissioner Eliud Mahihu, or the State House Controller Alexander Gitau did not cancel the Msambweni function as Njiru had expected. He believes that Kenyatta's life would have been saved on this occasion if immediate medical attention was made available.
Somebody like his brother-in-law, Mbiu Koinange, who was also his Minister of State and a confidant, just flew to Nairobi by Kenya Airways in the evening, and he left Jomo Kenyatta. You know why? Because he did not want to imagine that Kenyatta could die. Somebody like Dr. Mongola, who was his personal person of his Asian and the comptroller, they went to Kariba Bar in Toronoka to go and drink. Yeah, he died there because imagining was treasonable.
Where was Moi at that particular time?
Moi was in the Kabaraka in Nakuru.
How did he react when he received the news?
Well, I don't know how he reacted because I was in Mombasa with Jomo Kenyatta.
Mombasa, yeah.
I was in Mombasa with Jomo Kenyatta. But of course, he got the message from Mahehu and again from the Director of Intelligence, James Kanyoto. So he rushed to Nairobi. His home was already secured by General Service Unit they had organized. Then that day, at 3 p.m., that was on 22nd August 1978, he was sworn in as the president for a period of 3 months.
My name is Enoch Sikoli, and I am the Kenyan historian.